Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick. He's a natural resource analyst who works at UncommonWisdomDaily.com. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Thanks very much for having me on.
You're just back from the Denver Marijuana Conference. What was going on there, and what was the buzz?
Well, there was quite a buzz. It was not a marijuana conference. I recently attended one of those down in Fort Lauderdale, which was very interesting. But this was just kind of a fact-finding thing where I got to meet with a lot of small, up-and-coming small companies that are in the cannabis space, and there are all kinds of different companies there, and more are actually now becoming public companies, and actually for good reason. They're making money. They want money to expand, so of course they're going to become public companies. And really, I have to say, Denver is a hotbed of capitalism. I mean, I met plenty of young, talented people who want to, some are really evangelists. They really believe in all the healing powers of like marijuana and stuff like that. And I'm not taking anything away from that. There are certainly people that has helped. Many of them, though, are there because they want to make money, and I can really respect that. They are people who think they can become millionaires. And I think some of these companies have real potential. I also met a few dogs that I wouldn't invest someone else's money in. But, I mean, you can just avoid those and invest in the ones that have real potential.
So what makes a marijuana company stand out for you?
It basically comes down to management. It's great if it's management that actually made a success of another company, sold it, and now has actually pivoted into marijuana because they see the potential in whatever particular aspect they're actually working on there. Because I want people who are actually going to build companies and then sell them, and hopefully as an investor I can go along for the ride. So management is probably first and foremost. I would rather have top management with a kind of secondary asset than a really top asset with like, you know, management from the B team. So that's important. It's also good if they're growing revenues. I like ones that are growing revenues quite a lot. Not a lot of them make money. The earnings might not be there, but the revenue should be. I want a company that's immune to the actual price of marijuana. In other words, if the price of marijuana goes lower, which in the U.S. is likely because more and more people are actually growing it, then I want a company that can do well despite that. And so that's important to me. Now, up in Canada, we should point out that because of how things operate, you guys are a little more immune to the price crunch. In fact, with legalization, considering how the Canadian government limits what is grown, you guys may see prices go higher, at least for a while, until things catch up. So that's some of the stuff I actually think about. And also, of course, you don't want to concentrate in like any one part of the industry too much. And also, importantly, while you can have some that actually grow marijuana, like I have a couple Canadian stocks in mind, I also like those that are in the ancillary businesses. That is, they don't actually touch the leaf. And so in the U.S., that's important because federal law still makes marijuana illegal. It's actually very hard for some of these companies to do business as well as they could. However, I believe legalization is coming no matter what Attorney General Jeff Sessions wants. And I think that the pressure that's on marijuana stocks in the U.S. right now will be lifted off. And so there's a chance for them to go much higher. And I know who agrees with me, and that is marijuana growers up in Canada because they are raking in the cash anyway, and they're now deploying that cash down in the U.S. because they consider the U.S. market very fragmented. So they're going around investing in companies that they think will do very well in the coming surge.
Is that money needed because the banks are scared to get into the marijuana business, again, because the feds say it's illegal?
Yes. I mean, I actually met some people who have some very good ways of actually getting around that. They still tell stories, whether they're true or not, about people who have $2.5 million at home simply because they can't get a bank to work with them. And who wants to be in that situation? I don't. But there are credit unions. Many people are using credit unions, but also state banks. In other words, they don't have a federal charter. They have a state charter. Down in Colorado, that means they can work with the marijuana companies, and they do. They charge them, none of those companies are actually getting bargains on their banking business, that's for darn sure. So it's good for the small banks as well.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after the break.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
I'm Brian Fowler, President of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead zinc silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Sean Brodrick. Sean, the U.S. dollar is finding it challenging, and I guess the Canadian dollar at least is staying around the 75-cent mark after being much lower than that earlier in the year.
Early in the year, the Canadian dollar has been on a rip-roaring tear since May, my friend. I mean, I have to tell you, and it's breaking out as you and I speak. It is looking good. Why is this? I have to think, and yeah, sure, part of it's the economy in Canada. Your central bank says it won't need to do more QE, blah, blah, blah. But I think that a lot of smart people are now calling a bottom in the oil market. Whether it's there or not, I don't know, but this is the bet that's being made. And if you're betting on a bottom in the oil market, then you go long the Canadian dollar because the two tend to be tied together. And so that's one more signal that we're seeing that we could be near a bottom in the oil price, and if so, that's great for a whole bunch of stocks that I like.
Would a factor in the Canadian dollar be the fact that perhaps some people aren't visiting the U.S. either because of the administration or they just don't feel their dollar will go very far, so they're spending more at home?
That's a good question. I don't know how you'd measure that, but that could be something to do with the U.S. dollar weakness, actually, is that the fact that our government is downright unfriendly in some places. We just had a new travel ban, which was the old travel ban, but parts of it are now reinstated, and we're actually, our government has made noise about making it harder to travel to Cuba, but they aren't really doing much. But obviously they are going to be restrictive on some things, and so I think that's part of it that makes people think that maybe the U.S. dollar isn't the place to be right now, which is a shame. And again, we have our own energy industry. It could do quite well if the price of oil goes higher. Texas and places like that will boom. But right now, people are looking at growth in places like India and Korea and seeing the tremendous growth in those places. And I think that's siphoning a lot of the international investor interest that would go to the U.S. And so as that money shifts and finds other ports, that kind of weighs on the U.S. dollar a bit.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
I'm Bill McWilliam, president of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
Keep informed. Receive our weekly recap of thought-provoking articles, podcasts, and radio delivered to your inbox for free. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage, HowStreet.com. Welcome back. We're chatting with Sean Brodrick. Sean, what's your outlook on gold right now?
Well, I think we are close to a bottom. I don't think we're at a bottom, but I am watching some things in gold that look quite positive. So I haven't put more money to work in the gold sector in a few weeks, pretty much since that we had that rollover at the beginning of June. But I think that the bottom is close, and we have been making, over the longer term, higher highs and higher lows. That's naturally what you want to see in an uptrend. That is an uptrend by its very definition. So I think we are coming down to the bottom, and last week we started seeing the gold miners outperform the metals. That's the key indicator for me. That's what you want to see, because when the miners start to outperform the metals, people are turning more bullish on the sector, and they tend to put more money in the miners because that's leverage to the metals. So that was a very encouraging sign last week, and hopefully we'll have confirmation again this week, and then I'll get one of the other buy signals that I'm looking for.
Is there concern in the U.S. about the increased cost to housing there to build a house because of the massive tariffs put on Canadian softwood?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, I know you people in Canada look at what we pay for houses in many parts of the U.S., and you just laugh because you don't think we're overpaying at all. Prices tend to be higher in Canada. You know, you can take that however you want, but certainly, I mean, this isn't the first fight U.S. and Canada haven't had over softwood tariffs. It certainly isn't the last. I just hope we keep remembering that we are the best trading partners in the world, and we need to stay that way. For me, I mean, my most optimal thing would be lower tariffs, period. I think most people would be happier with that, and but I don't see that happening under the current administration.
Of course, the BC government, which likely will be voted out of power tomorrow, has said if they continue to increase tariffs on softwood, they're going to ban American coal shipments from leaving Vancouver. Really?
Well, you know, I mean, we can argue about coal as well. Coal is on the way out. There's absolutely no two ways about it. And I know some people had a nice ride in coal recently, but when you look at all the global trends, it just is on the way out. Natural gas is very competitive in most markets, and you don't have half the problems with gas that you do with coal. And then we're seeing renewables come on strong. Still not totally competitive in many areas, but it's getting there. So you look at those things, you know coal's days are numbered.
China, too, is turning to alternatives. Apparently, they've just opened up the world's biggest solar farm.
Well, I don't think it's the world's biggest solar farm. It's the world's biggest floating solar farm, isn't it?
It could be. I just know it was big. And
yes, they have built the world's biggest floating solar farm. They always do innovative things over there. Good for them. I mean, heck, they're the people with air so thick it kills thousands of people every year. Absolutely, I can see why they do that, and I expect them to keep doing more of it, you know?
Well, of course, they blame the air pollution, but what about the smoking rate, which is at about 60%?
Yeah, well, good luck trying to get them to stop doing that.
And a little note, too, Trump Tower in Toronto is being debranded. They're going to call it something else.
That's why I think he's going to build a wall so he can put his name on it, you know. He wants Trump's wall. Much like Hadrian's Wall, only be Trump's wall. It'll have solar panels on one side of it, and, I'm sure in his own descriptive way it'll be the awesome, most bigly, most incredible wall ever. And so people laugh at the idea of him building the wall. Do not count it out yet, Charlie, because he likes building things. He likes putting his name on things. The wall is a perfect opportunity. It may not make sense for various reasons that we could get into, or it might make sense for other reasons. For one thing, it's a great, infrastructure program when we badly need those. It might not be the infrastructure we need, but it is infrastructure. And so I think people who are counting out the wall should not, because it is coming. He has at least 3 years, and he might have another term the way things are going. So you put those together, and that's enough time to get that wall started, that's for sure.
Well, sure. And why not build some hotels in there while you're at it and some casinos?
Who knows? Who knows? There is no one literally to stop him. I think many people don't realize. I don't think Trump realizes that. But there is no one to stop him from doing anything he wants. And so you can take that however you want. And if he just decided to stop messing around with healthcare tomorrow and like said, you know what, we're going to build that wall, let's start right now, and he started handing out contracts for it, who would possibly stop him? No one would. And at some point, he is going to realize he can do that, and that's when things will really change.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks. And if people see the potential in cannabis and see what could be happening, not only on your side of the border but in ours, please come to Weiss Research and check out my new product, Marijuana Millionaire. It's going to be awesome. And I think we're going to make people a heck of a lot of money.
Well, you have a happy July 4th. Well, we have a happy Canada Day on the 1st.
All right. Absolutely, my friend. Take care and have a great one.
You too. My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Natural Resource Analyst at UncommonWisdomDaily.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show or our guests can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.